Hello, everyone, and very good afternoon. Dear authors, session chairs, and invited guests, welcome to Technical Session 5T. Myself, Samruddhi Mogal, and I will be the moderator for the session. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation and Geoscholastic, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 10th World Conference on Information Technology System, Software, Security, and Sustainability, London, UK. The 10th edition of the conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event was successfully held yesterday in London, UK, and the virtual event is being conducted through Zoom from 29 to 30 July 2026. I hope you all enjoy today's informative, insightful, and interactive technical session. In this session, we have six paper presentation. Each presenter will be allotted 12 minutes for the presentation, followed by 3 minutes for the question and answer session. I will give a gentle reminder when 10 minutes have elapsed to help you manage your time. I would also like to request all participants to kindly stay connected with us until the closing remarks of the session. If you have any queries or require any assistance during the session, please feel free to write to me in the chat box. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to introduce the distinguished session chairs for this technical session. Firstly, we have Dr. Elvin Ugona Eziyama. Dr. Elvin Ugona Eziyama, a senior research associate at Algoma University, Canada. With extensive professional research experience, his core expertise encompasses connected vehicles, the Internet of Things, and applied AI. He has authored a strong portfolio of peer-reviewed research publications on global network like Google Scholar, actively driving innovations in secure autonomous transportation system. May I now request our respected session chair, Dr. Elvin Yugona Eziyama, sir, to kindly share a few words and offer their valuable insights and guide the presenters before we begin today's technical session. Uh, okay, so I think we have some technical problem. Uh, we do have another session chair. We do have another session chair, Dr. Satish S. Banath. Satish S. Banath, as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune, India. With over 20 years of extensive academic and research experience in higher education, his core expertise encompasses data mining, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, IoT, and software engineering. I'll request Dr. Satish Banath, sir, to share a few words with us. Hello, sir. Your mic is off.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this technical session. So, I'm honored to serve as the session chair and to guide today's discussion. So, this session brings together experts, researchers, professionals, and the participants who share a common interest in advancing knowledge and innovation in this field. So, we have an exciting set of presentation lined up and covering important development, research findings, and the practical insights. So, wish you all the best, all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance. Now let us begin with today's paper presentation. I would like to invite our first presenter, K. N. Subramaniam, with the paper title A Comprehensive Analysis of Cybersecurity in Higher Education Institute, a Case Study.
Can you allow me to share the slides? Able to see my slide?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Good afternoon from India. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I am Professor Subramania, principal of the college, and this paper titled "A Comprehensive Analysis of Cybersecurity in Higher Education Institutions," a case study, is co-authored by one of my colleagues, Padma Shri. She is the associate dean, and two of my students who are involved in this doing this project as a case study for our college, and they have completed their engineering. They are working now. So let me give the introduction of this particular study. So as you know that the higher education institutions have rapidly embraced digital technologies actually, and lot of things are already there in many of the institutions across India and other places also. But at the same time, we also have a lot of kinds of cyber threats which are there. So if you look into this diagram, we see that on an average on a weekly cyber attacks in education looks to be highest in 2025. So it's around 4,500, followed by government, telecom, healthcare sector, and the finance. And the distribution of the cyber threats, the maximum being the phishing, and then comes the credential theft, then the ransomware, then the DDoS, and insider attacks and the others. So this is alarming for the institutions, and we are supposed to do some good work on this. So expanding on the further things with respect to what is happening in the statistics in the higher education, there are almost around 8,200 cyber attacks per week in Indian education institutions alone. And obviously, globally, it is around 3,300. And so significantly, the higher volume of attacks compared to the global average is in the higher education. So this is once again more alarming that the higher education institutions should be very, very alert. And in fact, out of these things, ransomware and phishing remain the most critical and successful attack vectors. So we had to look into say how it has to be studied and what actions have to be initiated. And also there is an urgent need for defense, awareness, and the resilience strategies. In fact, this whole study is an exploratory research. By taking the data from our college, we are trying to look into how the things have happened across the world through our research work. So if you look into the research alternatives, a whole research review has been done, and we looked into the research from 2003 to 2024, and we have referred to around 600 Scopus Index publications. In fact, average annually 17.9% publication growth is there. Out of that, 480 would be the researchers, and there are 96 journals in this area. And the international collaboration to write these papers around 18.6%. And considering the 2015 to 24 papers, in fact, the categorization has been done in terms of cyber awareness and culture, cyber security, education and training, privacy and data protection, technical cyber security research, governance and risk management. So these are the 5 categories we have done when we are looking into the papers. In fact, the study we have done, generally, even though all the categories are important, main work has been in the category 5 actually, taking care of the governance and the risk management. So if you look into some examples of the higher studies, institutions, how things have happened, I will not go into the details of this slide, but taking care of Q. So there are a lot of incidents like say data breach in University of Hyderabad, then Diksha Digital, it is a cloud storage misconfiguration. Then in Ghaziabad, in one of the 8 institutions, cyber attack exploiting obsolete systems and vulnerable servers. So in Bhopal University, unsecured Elasticsearch database. So like this, there are various ways the incidents have happened, and the impact in any education system will be definitely hampering the working of the system, and also students and the faculty will be most affected. So this is the overall study we are looking into. In many universities, we have highlighted only few because there are like this across the world. Many higher education institutions also have a cyber threat which is happening, and it is also becoming very common nowadays. Being the principal of the college, I spend at least 2 to 3% of my time on handling these things on a day-to-day basis. So then, keeping this in mind, when we did the exploratory research, we have also set an objective. This is a framework which we had formulated to make a study. So in this, we are looking into the research objective itself to look into the landscape in higher education. Then the literature search we have done through IEEE Explorer, Springer Links, Science Direct, ACM Digital Library, then Google Scholar, government and industry reports, news portals, and the institutional websites. So we have taken all these literature from these areas, and the inclusions is again on the focused case studies, cyber threats, then the frameworks which are relevant to the higher education and which are all published in English, which has been taken. Exclusions are non-relevant domains, irrelevant to higher education, duplicates, and low quality things we have not considered actually. And then the data extraction, the classification has been done through institutional assets, vulnerabilities, attack vectors, mitigation strategy, cybersecurity framework, case studies, and the real world incidents. So these are the whole data extraction classification has been done. Then the thematic analysis is through identifying the patterns, comparing the findings, map relationships, highlight critical cybersecurity challenges. Then the framework evaluation, as you know that there are a lot of frameworks which are available already, and these frameworks are NIST, then COBIT, CIS, PCF for cloud controls, and HCYMAF and CCMF are the frameworks which are already available. And then finally, we have consolidated the insights, identify the research gaps, provide recommendations, suggest future research directions for us. So this is our whole research methodology of this particular paper. And in between, we've also taken some data and the subjective opinions of the people in our institution to understand how these things are happening. So obviously, our first thing was institutional asset identification. Then what is vulnerability assessment? Then the attack landscape analysis, mitigation strategies, and then the frameworks. Then the data sources has been given here as I already explained. And through this exercise, we have understood the comprehensive understanding of the cyber security. I think this slide will be very, very important for any higher education institution to start based on the total research survey. We have arrived at this framework, what has been applied in the higher education institutions. So when we look into the things, we look into all these higher education institutions, what are the standards? So this is the biggest problem we have found actually, because if I take cyber security framework, so per se, the purpose here is enterprise research risk management. So then if you take zero trust architecture, it is explicitly least privilege access in the micro segmentation, the continuous mark. So it is related to the monitoring part of it on the architecture. So critical success security controls, the purpose is prioritized actionable security controls. So if you can look into it, some things are on the risk, some things are on the explicit monitoring, something are on the security control. And then ISO is on the security management system itself, how it has to be done. So COBIT is on IT governance and management. And then attack is on the adversary behavior knowledge base. So you can imagine so many standards any institution wants to follow. In fact, through our research and our study also, we have found that all these standards has to be for different purpose within the whole organization. So this itself is sometimes confusion according to me. And maybe in future scope, we are given that can we arrive at considering all these things one cyber security standard for higher education, then our job may become easier. Otherwise, this itself is a big exercise we are supposed to do in the organizations. Then coming back to the assets. So how do you take the asset classification framework? So the assets we have taken is the people asset, because in higher education institutions, we have students, faculty, staff, and the researchers. The information assets should be whole data. Then the technology assets should be the hardware and the software, and the cloud and the third-party assets. Then the physical assets like say facilities and the equipment, which are integrated with the software. So we are given the whole lot of description. This, in fact, to some extent, this data we have arrived by taking the data what we have in our college itself. So we are given the description, then the examples of who are the people who are going to make use of it and what are the assets, and then the key risks are also there. If you take a people asset, for example, you have credential theft, insider theft, social engineering, and the data leakage. So the key risks are very, very important for us to take a mitigation strategy. So like this, we have arrived at the first, the asset information, asset classification framework, which we have done in our college itself. It is very, very important according to me. You have total domains are there in when you are looking into the cyber security. So these are the real assets which are very important. Let's say endpoint and bring your own device security, cloud and AI infrastructure, network infrastructure, data protection, privacy, access management, physical infrastructure, third parties, who are all the suppliers, and then the governance and the user awareness. So these are all very, very important for any higher education institution. Out of this, it is alarming to find out the very high impact has come through endpoint and the BYOD security and the cloud and the AI infrastructure, and then governance and the user awareness. So these three we find, even though others are also there, but these three has to be given more importance. And this is the vulnerability assessment we have done through our study. So then what are the cyber attack landscape? This is through literature as well as to the study which we have done in our college. We have combined both actually. So if you look into the distribution, phishing, spear phishing, and the pretexting contributes to the 40%. The ransomware, spyware, trojans, and worms, it is to be the 25%. Network attacks are 15%. Data-centric attacks are 10%. Then IoT devices is 5%. And advanced persistent threats are 5%. So this is a clear classification. So we call these as 4 categories we have categorized into social engineering, malware, data identity, and the IoT and advanced attacks. So I think this classification helps us in mitigation when we are trying to look into how the classification has to be done. So this classification is our own work which we have done, looking into the research as well as what we are doing in the institutions. So the impact of all these attacks is on the service disruption, obviously, on a day-to-day basis. Labs
Sorry
will
to
be going on.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Sorry to
Exams will be,
interrupt. You have only 1 minute to
yeah.
conclude.
So
your
exams will be going on. There'll be financial loss, privacy violations, research theft, and the reputational damage. So all these things happen because of the cyber attack. So keeping this in mind, we have done a mitigation in terms of the governance and policy framework, risk assessment and management, identifying and access management, network security, endpoint devices, and then application of the cloud security. This is a whole mitigation strategy we had to do on a monthly or a quarterly basis based on the type of dynamics of all those things. These mitigation strategies been already arrived at. Some of the things we are doing in our college, some of the things it is work in progress. We are going to take care of it. And finally, the key findings are vulnerable to higher education institutions are vulnerable to cyber attacks. Then assets like the databases, ERPs, cloud services require multi-layered security protection. Then phishing, ransomware are identified as the predominant attacks. Then no single security frame. This is very important. I think there's a robust consolidated structure would be needed. Then the future cyber security resilience depends on AI. I think another super layer for this would be AI now. That also has to be taken into consideration. So considering this, the challenges would be increasing sophistication because this is not a static one. It is very dynamic in nature. So obviously, legacy IT infrastructure and heterogeneous campus networks is other problem. Then limited cybersecurity budget, and then skilled manpower is also not available in this area. Then balancing data privacy in academic collaborations and securing your IoT, BYOD, etc. are the challenges. Research gaps would be which has to be taken care in the future would be lack of unified cybersecurity framework, which has to be worked out. Then AI has to be put looking above that. Then insufficient integration of zero trust architecture. Then the need for scalable privacy had to be done. So this is my final slide. So this survey highlights the growing cybersecurity challenges and a need for a comprehensive security approach in technical safeguards, governance, and user awareness. We have been doing it, but I think the kind of changes which are happening in the society, we have to be much more adaptive to the situation. Taking care of the future scope would be AI-driven autonomous systems, then zero trust architecture, then unified security frameworks, which are important, then exploring privacy preserving AI, and then establishing continuous cyber resilience models using digital twin cyber range simulations and predictive risk assessment for HEIs. And all these, we have a BE program in cyber security, and these students are also taken as a project. And maybe in another 1 year to 2 years, whatever the skills future scope would also be considered in the organization. So this is the overall view of the study and the cyber security in the higher education institutions we have done. So thank you very much. These are all the references we have made. And I acknowledge my management for sponsoring for this conference, and Ravi Kopal is our system administrator for helping in the related IT infrastructure is functioning the whole institution. He has helped us in the collection of the data. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for presentation. Do we have question from session chairs?
Okay, very nice presentation. My first question is that
What are
what are
the
the
major
major cyber
cyber security threats? Sir,
hello?
I did not understand what not able to hear correctly.
What are the major cyber security threats?
What are the
Major cyber security threats.
So I think we are given here the major cyber security threats even in our college is phishing, ransomware. So these two occupy actually along with the credential theft. These three occupy most of the things for which we have very strong firewalls we have already done. And the majority of the times these things have been already taken care of. But we don't know in future something gets added to it. So I cannot say it is a permanent solution. So these are the main three threats, cyber security threats we are seeing.
My next question is that what cybersecurity policies or frameworks and practices are currently implemented within the selected institutes?
Yeah. So as I've already told you that if you take our college itself, for example, you said this slide is very important. All the things, whatever has been given here is already implemented in our college. So I think that's how I have taken this as a case study. It could be the network because you have internet, you have telecommunication networks, we have the data centers, we have the clouds. So all these along with the virtualization and also the firewalls. So these things are already available, but I think we should try to invest more on this. And we have also recently made a cyber policy, which may take some time for us to put into the overall strategy of the organization. I think we are working on that, and very shortly we may come out with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I think let's proceed to next paper presentation. We have our next presenter, Normans Gruzitis. The paper title is Automatic Speech Recognition in Latvian Operational Radio Communication, Corpus Creation and Speech Enhancement Evaluation. You may proceed your presentation.
Thank you. All right, can you see my screen or not yet? Can you see it now?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Good afternoon and hello from Latvia, which is Northern Europe. And my topic is about speech recognition in operational radio communication. So kind of a little bit related also to the security domain, but from a completely different angle. So we are trying to help to analyze communication which happens over radio in operational settings like emergency and rescue services or security services, potentially also the military domain. And so the use cases that we are targeting potentially with these technologies, monitoring and analysis of real-time events. In a control center, for instance, they have to monitor several parallel events happening at the moment and to get the real-time picture of what's happening in different areas or post-exercise analysis of how communication has been going on for emergency service trainees or military trainees and so on. So the motivation has been due to use ASR for this use case is due to the success of multilingual ASR models, which have been developed and released on and on by large players like OpenAI and their Whisper model, and then Meta with their MMS model, and many other multilingual large models for speech recognition. And they achieve very good results on conventional benchmarks, especially for high resource languages, but then also for low resource languages as well, like Latvian, if they are fine-tuned on the language specific data. But then it's typical, and we also observe it that for specific domains, challenging domains like radio communication, the performance drops dramatically, even for those large multilingual models. And even if they are fine-tuned for specific language. So in this current work, we investigate why this actually happens, and we try to evaluate whether we can do something to improve the recognition quality by applying different speech enhancement techniques. So instead of going for creating a large corpus for fine-tuning the model for the specific domain. So first of all, what we can do with some pre-processing techniques, can we move in this direction successfully or not? And for that, so we also had to create a little corpus, we'll mention later, to test how the existing models perform in this specific domain. So this operational communication is quite different from many other domains, not only because the language is different, like it's with all, well, any domain has its specific language, terminology, and so on. In operational domains, speakers often use a lot, use abbreviations, call signs, identifiers, and so on. And the sentences are fragmented, so they are not typically not full sentences with a lot of linguistic context. So you have to transcribe this content from very short utterances. But there are also those acoustic artifacts like compression and environmental noise, narrow band radio channels, and so on. Yes, so therefore our main research questions for this particular research were, so how well can we do with current state-of-the-art speech recognition models that we have fine-tuned for Latvian? Do they generalize also for the operational radio communication? So this is the question number, first question. And then the second broad question is, so can speech enhancement techniques actually improve recognition? So if we can reduce noise, etc., does it help actually for speech recognition in these settings? And so yes, as I mentioned, to do this actually this evaluation, we need, of course, test data or speech corpus for this task. And so yes, we first created a relatively small but representative so operational communication corpus, both from using data from rescue domain and also from private security domain. And then we evaluated how, first of all, how those already existing Latvian ASR models can process such data, and also analyzed how these enhancement techniques might help or maybe even get the situation worse. So does the perceptual speech quality helps to recognize speech or not? And so regarding this data set or text corpus for doing this evaluation, so typically for such domains which contain sensitive information, so the first part, of course, is the most challenging one, actually, is to get the data at all. This involves not only technical issues but also legal issues, etc. But anyway, so altogether we obtained nearly 15,000 recordings. So from state rescue service, as I said, and also from a private security company. So many speakers, many different events, and therefore also, well, different linguistic content as well. And these 15,000 recordings correspond roughly to about 15,000 hours of 15 hours of audio, and but the most recordings so therefore are extremely short. So if we analyze just statistically, so it's on average 2 to 4 seconds is one single turn of conversation. So this is one turn. And so the linguistic context is, of course, very short in such setting. And so to make this corpus really useful for evaluation as well as later on for fine-tuning the models. So we also created concise but detailed annotation guidelines to ensure consistency, so that many annotators, well, we had several annotators, so that at the end the transcriptions that they provide are consistent and following the same style, and of course, because there are all those different acronyms and numbers and etc. So there is a question how to evaluate this. Do we evaluate the final expected formatted transcription of those recordings, or should we actually first of all evaluate the literal transcription? And therefore, both annotation levels are preserved in this data set. And for instance, numbers like 203 could be spelled like 203. But well, at the end, the expected formatting is the short digital form. Nevertheless, the formatting itself might introduce more and more issues and recognition errors if we are looking at the final formatted transcripts. Therefore, in this particular work, we have been working only with the literal translations, so word by word translations, transcriptions. And yes, and then our experimental setup was that we selected two state-of-the-art models, so two data sets to compare. First of all, a general broadcast corpus already existing for Latvian and for many other languages, of course, as well. And then this specific domain-specific operational radio data set. And we tested different pre-processing methods, starting with voice activity detection, just to remove all the content which contains no speech, just maybe some background noise, and then different standard speech enhancement methods. And as metrics, we use this standard word error rate as the speech recognition metric, but also to evaluate this perceived quality, we used also some other standard metrics. So what are the initial results so far? So what we can see that those general purpose state-of-the-art models, particularly for Latvian as a low resource language, can achieve about 12% of word error rate. So the lower word error rate, the better here in this case. And if we use the same state-of-the-art models for operational domain, the word error rate already drops to 37 or maybe even more errors in the final transcripts. So this is not useful in real case scenarios. So and then, as I said, we tried out these different different speech enhancement methods to see whether it can help us, whether removing noise actually can help for the speech recognition models as they are without fine-tuning and adapting to such data, whether it helps. And it turns out, well, unexpectedly, on one hand, but kind of a expected result on the other hand, is that these noise reduction techniques actually make things much worse. So voice activity detection helps a little bit. You can get 1% better result overall, but otherwise all the filtering methods actually make things worse. And why it is so? Well, they on their own introduce new artifacts that maybe for listener, for perceiver, seems like a better quality audio, but these are unseen artifacts that have never been seen in the training data for those state-of-the-art models. So actually, it makes kind of another kind of a noise in the data. And so yes, even this
Sorry to
perceived
interrupt.
yes
Sorry
yes
to interrupt, but you have only 1 minute left to
yes
conclude your
thanks
talk.
thanks. Mhm. So perceived quality might go significantly up, but then the word error rate still drops. And so this outcome, as well as the error analysis outcome, looking at formatting layer, lexical layer, and all the other layers that can be taken into account into such speech recognition. So what we conclude actually from this is that yeah, state-of-the-art models, as they are trained on general domain, do not generalize enough for such specific domains, mostly because the acoustic features, not that much because of the content. And so the noising techniques will not help you. But what most likely will help is to create, to acquire more training data to make an adapted model for your specific domain, in this case specifically. And then just to share with you a follow-up results. So this is already behind this concrete paper, but we already during this time have collected a relatively small corpus, about 27 hours or so of additional data, which has been used for fine-tuning the model. And then if what we already see is that, well, again, if this general model, which hasn't seen this domain-specific noisy operational data, works only on average with 37% word error rate, which is unuseful, not useful at all, then using this domain-specific data, we already, with relatively few amount of data, can this error rate can drop significantly up to the same level as we saw for general language. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Do we have any question from session chairs?
Okay, nice presentation. After environments. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. My question is that how does the quality and diversity of the training corps influence the accuracy and robustness of Latvian ASR model?
You mean the representativeness of the data, or maybe I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
get the question. Yes, so for both this general domain corpus or broadcast corpus, and also for the operational data, what we have always tried to achieve is that data is representative in many kinds, well, from many aspects, regarding speakers, regarding noise, regarding content, regarding different other aspects. So yes, definitely, if you will get just data from a single a few persons, or very narrow subdomain, then you will not the model will not generalize well. That's a standard case.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to proceed with our next presentation. Our next presenter is Mark Fedorchenko, and the paper title is Baseline First Machine Learning Crop Yield Forecasting from Farm Management Decision Support with Small Official Statistics. You may start your presentation.
Hello, just a sec. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, I see.
No. Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, I can start, right?
Yes, you can start your presentation.
Yes. So, hello everyone. My name is Mark Fedoshenko from Poltava State Agrarian University. This paper asks a deliberately practical question. When a regional decision maker has only a short series of official annual statistics, can machine learning improve crop yields forecast enough to justify its added complexity? Our answer is baseline first. Machine learning can help, but the gain in creep specific is a simple transparent forecast can still be the best model. I'll focus on the evaluation logic, the held out results, and what they means for the decision support. The difficulty is the data regime. In many regions, official statistics are the only consistent source available before the season. Here, each crop has just 15 annual observations. This is too little data for complexity to be accepted in reputation. It is also a setting where the random splitting can create an unrealistically easy test by mixing early and later conditions. So we formulate the problem as a competition in future 5 years. Does a tuned machine learning model beat a transparent baseline after every processing and selection decision has been confined to the past? If it does, the baseline should remain the operational choice. Before our own experiment, we reviewed 3 recurrent methodological directions. Young and colleagues demonstrated random forests and global and regional scales. Later, gradient boosting work combined in agro-climatic and remote sensing data. A second direction is high-capacity modeling. Haki and Wang use deep neural networks, while you and colleagues combine remote sensing with a deep Gaussian processing. A systematic review by Murugan Tam and colleagues show how common is rich data setting has become. These methods are powerful, but their reported performance depends on dense predictors and enough observations. Across a broader reviews, one message is consistent. Chingarin and colleagues, Van Klombenburg and colleagues, and Jebet and colleagues reported the accuracy is not portable across crops, scales, predictor sets, and validation design. That creates our gap. Regional managers may have only short annual official statistics, not dense field, satellite or weather panels. In the regime, the main scientific question is not whether a sophisticated algorithm can be fitted, but whether it improves future forecast or a simple baseline without leakage. Our study addresses the gap with 15 annual observations per crop and crop-specific selection. The benchmark covers wheat, maize, and sunflower in Poltava region, Ukraine, from 2010 through 2024. The unit of analysis is one annual regional observation per crop. The core predictors are deliberately modest. Previous yield, 5 years historical means, crop area, fertilizer indicator, and irrigational. Seasonal NASA power climate aggregates are evaluated separately as a sensitivity analysis. This is therefore not a special mapping study and not a farm-level prediction system. It's a temporal regional benchmark for the information consistency that many managers actually face. Keeping the cone narrow also let us how much signal is already present in summarized official records. This is a central methodological safeguard. The years 2010 to 2018 form the initial training period. The years 2019 to 2021 used in expanded validation for model and hyperparameter selection. The final years 2022 and to 2024 remains completely held out. For every forecast, the pipeline can use only earlier years. Imputation, scaling, feature, transformation, and tuning are fitted inside the corresponding historical window. Nothing is learned from the future and then carried backwards. After selection, the configuration is fixed before the final test. This design mirrors the information flow of a real forecasting decisions and prevents a common source of optimistic results in small datasets. We compare three machine learning models: ElasticNet, XGBoost, and LightGBM. Their tuning is deliberately limited and performed on a validation years. Against them, we place four transparent references: a naive previous year forecast, a linear time trends, linest with lag predictors, and rolling ARIMA. The main metric is mean absolute error in tons per hectare on the untouched 2024 to 2024 test period. RMSE and MAPE provide secondary checks. The primary scenario is lag only because it uses information that can be known before the forecast season. In other words, every more complex method must outperform the reference that a manager can understand and reproduce. This chart contains the central results and lower is better. For wheat, the linear trend baseline reach in MAE of 0.49 tons per hectare, slightly better than elastic at 0.54. For maize, LightGBM improves in the best baseline 0.69 compared to 0.86. The sunflower, the difference is much larger. LightGBM reaches 0.04 compared to 0.17 for ARIMA. The RMSE ranking follow the same overall pattern, so the conclusion is not created by one metric alone. Though the claim is not the machine learning wins, the claim is the fair baseline first comparison identifies their twins, measures the practical gain, and also identifies where it does not. The crop level interpretation matters. Wheat returns a strong trend signal, and the available annual agronomic variables do not add a stable advantage to their test window. Maize benefits from nonlinear relationships and lagged management indicators through the 2024 yield decline from 7.79 to 5.71 tons per hectare remains difficult. Sunflower's strongest positive results. The lagged official statistic predictors closely track the three holdout years, the disparate result for very short test period, but they show why one model should not be selected globally for every crop. The selection rule must remain local to the crop that forecast window. We then ask whatever modestly rich inputs change the result. Extended lag structures improve wheat to 0.22 and maize to 0.29 tons per hectare in their best sensitive configurations, while sunflower still prefers the compact first-order lag. Seasonal NASA power climate aggregates reduce maize error from 0.69 to 0.52, but they do not create comparable gains for wheat and sunflower. The end-of-season scenario also fails to produce systematic improvement, likely because current year management variables add noise to a tiny sample. This reinforces the same principle. Enrich the model selectively crop by crop, rather than assuming the most features always produce a better operational forecast. Accuracy alone is not enough for decision support, so we use SHAP desperately to examine the predictors behind the selected models. Previous year yield and the 5-year mean remained important across crops. Mineral fertilizer coverage, nitrogen, and potassium inputs also appear repeatedly, and dedicated maize diagnostics shows that removed minerals fertilizer coverage increases by 0.89 tons per hectare. They are agronomically plausible signals. Wheat, like nitrogen and historical yield,
Sorry to
are
interrupt.
permitted for sunflower.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay,
It's gentle reminder that you have 1 minute to conclude your presentation.
yeah. I'll skip this part. So for farm management decision support, the workflow becomes a progression. And there is some results. The limitation defines the correct use for the results. The evidence support cross-specific gains in 3 held-out future years, a reproducible leakage-safe comparison, and interruptible predictors ranking. It doesn't support statistical significance from only 3 test observations, farm level or spatial mapping. Our universal transfer to another region without rerunning the workflow. And this some takeaways. The strong baseline are part of the model. Machine learning gains are crop specific, and some basic pipelines. So we move from simple, get validated, become interruptible, and richer. So,
Thank you
questions?
so much. Do we have question from session chairs?
Okay. Okay, very nice presentation. My question is that how effective
Yeah,
are
thanks. Thanks a
simple
lot.
baseline forecasting methods? Am I audible?
Come again?
Hello.
Hello.
How effective are simple baseline forecasting methods? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are
Sorry.
audible.
Question is that how effective are simple baseline forecasting methods compared with more complex machine learning approaches for crop yield prediction?
Uh, so we basically use the simple one and compared it with basically Excel-based formulas, and that's the goal, to make something simple, and then to enrich that with more complex data from. So we do not actually use some complex method algorithms with small data sets. That's the goal of the article.
And last question, which machine learning most limited, which machine learning
Yeah, so as I said, the purpose is not to claim the machine learning is automatically suitable. The study tests whatever constraint interruptible models can add value to strict validation. As may see, the wheat
algorithm you use in this article?
come again.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but your voice is little low and cracky. I think there is some
Yeah.
network issue.
Am I okay?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe there is more questions, so I can end my presentation.
Satish, sir, is there any questions you want to ask? Okay, so I think we'll move towards our hello.
Yeah.
I think so. Net connection strong. I already asked. Yeah, already asked.
Okay, so
Already
your
asked you.
network is
No
a
problem.
little low.
Samruddhi, already I have
Yes, sir.
asked the questions.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Already asked the question to him.
Okay. So we'll move towards our next presenter. I would like to introduce Ingi Emara, our next presenter, and her paper title is Comparing ASR Accuracy for Arabic and English Speech in Individuals with Down Syndrome. You may start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Is my voice
Yes,
clear, everyone?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Good
you are audible.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from Egypt. Let me share my presentation now. All right, I'll introduce myself and my co-authors, Inja Amara, Professor of Linguistics, and Rawan Walid and Shari Ahmed, Al-Alsun students. Alsun in Arabic means languages, so it's the Faculty of Languages in Misr International University in Egypt. Okay. Now the paper outline. We'll start with the introduction, the research objectives, literature review, which is mainly about Down syndrome characteristics and common error patterns, previous ASR analysis of Down syndrome speech, methodology, results and discussion, and conclusion. All right, for the introduction, we start by saying that individuals with Down syndrome often experience reduced speech intelligibility due to characteristic speech production difficulties. And this actually affects the output or the accuracy of automatic speech recognition tools, as they often struggle with the interpretation of Down syndrome, or DS for short, speech due to atypical pronunciation patterns. Now, our research objectives, which also reflect the research questions. The study aims to identify the most common pronunciation errors in the Arabic and English speech of individuals with Down syndrome and examine the impact of these pronunciation errors on automatic speech recognition accuracy. We also aim to provide insights for developing more inclusive and accessible ASR systems and informing targeted speech intervention strategies for individuals with Down syndrome. Now, we recognize that there is a research gap here, as previous research mainly focused on Down syndrome speech in English and other high-resource languages and compared ASR systems for Down syndrome speech recognition accuracy. But our present study goes further and compares Arabic and English Down syndrome speech in terms of the phonetic problems affecting the ASR accuracy, and we're linking these ASR errors to the pronunciation errors related to physiological problems that the Down syndrome population tend to have. Now, according to previous research, the main Down syndrome characteristics that result in common error patterns are related to the fact that they normally have reduced muscle tone or hypotonia affecting the lips, the tongue, the jaw, and hearing impairments that may limit accurate speech perception. Reduced articulatory muscles may also lead to imprecise production of the S sound, syllable reduction, and deletion of final consonants. They tend to have a relatively small larynx contributing to breathiness and difficulties in the pronunciation of voiced consonants. They tend to have a relatively large protruding tongue, which can lead to difficulties in producing the retroflex sound, R, and the glide sounds W and Y, as well as vowel sounds. They also have a relatively high narrow palate, leading to the production of more high than low vowels. Now, a quick phonetic description of what happens with normal people or with typical and atypical speakers. In the pronunciation of the R, we find that the tip of the tongue curls and is raised slightly towards the alveolar ridge, but with the L sound, the tongue tip touches the alveolar ridge, actually it doesn't curl backwards. So with the Down syndrome speaker, the tongue muscle is too weak to make the tongue tip curl backwards. So instead of pronouncing the R sound, it turns sometimes into a L sound, especially with Arabic speakers. Another diagram shows what happens due to the problem of breathiness and the relatively small larynx in the Down syndrome population. The vocal cords do not close properly, therefore allowing air to escape. So a voice sound like the D, which requires a lot of voicing and energy, it comes out as a weak T sound because it is devoid of some of the energy or the vibration that is required. Now, we move from the phonetic description of the speech errors and their causes to the applications of automatic speech recognition systems in Down syndrome speech. Previous research reported the inadequacy of current ASR models in recognizing speech by individuals with Down syndrome, mainly due to the scarcity of training data sets from the Down syndrome population. Now, this diagram shows briefly how a mispronunciation of a certain sound could lead to the misinterpretation of a sentence if the speaker is a Down syndrome speaker. And we are taking this example from the speech data set that we actually collected in English. So in one case, the intended utterance was, I did bend on one knee, where the speaker was talking about proposing to his girlfriend. Now, the production of the pronunciation of the B, the voiced B sound, was pronounced as a voiceless P. So bend was penned. Now, the acoustic model in the speech recognition program tried to see the nearest sound or the nearest word that is similar in pronunciation to penned. There is no penned in English, so the nearest word was interpreted as paid. And then the language model built up other words after the word paid, for example, the preposition for, and then I paid for the ring because the context, again, was about marriage and proposals. So we find now the difference between I did bend on one knee, which was transcribed by the speech recognition program as I paid for the ring, which is likely to be semantically different. Now, our methodology, briefly, we used a mixed method approach. Quantitative and qualitative analyses were used. The data set consisted of 12 speech samples, 15 minutes each. 6 of them were Arabic and 6 of them were in English. They were adults with Down syndrome ranging between 18 and 35 years with a mental age of about 10 years. Data sources in Arabic. We collected data from an Egyptian special education school. For the English speeches, we collected them from public YouTube recordings, and none of the personal information, of course, was disclosed either in English or in Arabic. Now, the ASR intelligibility measures, we use the famous WER, or word error rate, which is calculated by adding up insertions, deletions, substitutions, divided by the total number of words, and we get the percentage of that. The weighted average of accuracy in opposition is counted by 100 minus the word error rate to get the accuracy or the total accuracy of the output. The speech analysis, the recorded speech data, was analyzed by the authors as well as the ASR systems. Mainly, we used 3 systems: Google Speech to Text, Whisper AI, and Sonics AI. And then we used the online tool CountWords Free to match the ASR output with the human transcription of the original speech to calculate accuracy and word error rate. This is a picture showing how it looks when we compared the original transcription, which was transcribed by the human annotators, with the ASR output on the left. So the red parts here are the deleted words, and we have a number of the deleted words. The green parts are the inserted words. Now, the substitution words were actually identified by the human annotators, and the substitution errors, the substitution errors were identified when the inserted and deleted words were phonetically similar. For example, if the word send was deleted and the word sent with a T was inserted, due to the mispronunciation of the as t, which was identified by the authors, this was classified as a substitution
Sorry
error.
to interrupt.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. It's a gentle reminder that you have 1 minute to conclude your
Sure.
presentation.
All right, so I'll jump quickly over the results and discussion. These tables show the results of the analysis of the Arabic speech and the English speech with some examples here. Now I'll move quickly to the implications or the summing up of the results. English Down syndrome speech achieved significantly higher ASR accuracy than Arabic Down syndrome speech. Deletion errors were significantly lower in English output. Non-streaming or asynchronous ASR systems outperformed streaming systems like Google Speech to Text. And English transcriptions generally preserved the intended meaning, whereas the Arabic outputs often showed reduced coherence due to deletions and incorrect context matching. This shows that actually the ASR systems were trained with more English Down syndrome speech than Arabic one. Conclusion here, the individuals with Down syndrome exhibited similar speech patterns in both Arabic and English, reflecting the physiological characteristics associated with the condition. So we found that most problems had to do with the substitution of voiced sounds with voiceless sounds, which is related to the problem, again, of breathiness and the weak vocal cords. The second notice is that the automatic speech recognition of Arabic Down syndrome speech showed errors involving devoicing and deletion of pharyngeal and uvular sounds. These are sounds like a and r, which are not found in English. But the ASR of English Down syndrome speech exhibited additional errors involving sounds like th, p, and v, which do not exist in the Egyptian Arabic dialect that was used in the experiment. Now, implications that we get for speech therapy and automatic speech recognition development. Now, for speech therapy, we support the design of targeted interventions to improve the articulation of problematic sounds in individuals with Down syndrome, which may interfere with the recognition of ASR tools. For ASR development, we need to expand Down syndrome-specific speech datasets and improve the representation of atypical speech in automatic speech recognition training models. The study contributes, therefore, to more inclusive human-machine interaction by promoting automatic speech recognition technologies that better serve individuals with Down syndrome. And these are the main references we used. I'd like to thank you very much, and I would like to thank my co-authors. Thank you all for your attention, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any question from session chairs?
Okay, very nice presentation. My first question is that what is the level of ASR accuracy for Arabic speech compared with English speech in individuals with Down syndrome?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat your question again?
What
Or
is
if
the level
possible,
of ASR accuracy for Arabic speech? Sorry?
I'm sorry, the voice
Arabic
is a bit
speech.
too low. Yes, could you repeat that again, or if you could kindly type your question in the chat box?
Okay, the question is that what is the level of ASR accuracy for Arabic speech compared with English speech in individuals with Down syndrome?
I can hear you're asking about the label. Is the label of our speech data set, you mean?
Yeah, level of accuracy, ASR accuracy.
Level.
Yeah.
The level of accuracy for the Egyptian or for the Arabic Down syndrome. I actually moved quickly over that slide due to lack of time, but I'll go over it again quickly. The level of accuracy for Arabic Down syndrome speech was around 56%. And actually, Sonic's AI achieved the highest accuracy rate.
Okay.
Compared to 25% for Whisper AI and 15% for Google Speech to Text. Now, for English, the best accuracy was achieved by Whisper AI with an average of 78%. And Sonics followed by Sonics, which was achieved by an accuracy of 75%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Next.
Okay.
Thank
you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's move towards our next presentation. We have Heap Nigaya Fan, and the paper title is LoRa Security as a Measurable Risk Framework. You may start your presentation.
Yes, thank you. Do we see my print share? Hello? Hello?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yes. Good afternoon. This distinguished guest, session chair, and field researcher. Welcome to my presentation today. My name is Hiệp Phan Nghĩa, and I am honored to present our present research paper titled LoRa Security as a Measurable Risk Framework, a corporate work owner with Duy Nguyễn Ngọc from the Post and Telecommunication Institute of Technology. In this presentation, I'm going to introduce a new quarterly engineering methodology to ensure the security vulnerability of deploying third-party fine-tuner adapters in language model in cluster. Let's begin looking at why this has become a critical problem in model AI deployment. To give some background, LoRa adapter or LoRa has completely transformed how we construct language model. Instead modify billion of spyware LoRa block to spy model and find a small efficient LoRa matrix. However, this convenience creates a service security blind spot because this model can to attack to program spy model with zero friction fragmentation often download and random without deep security verification. Research study show that attacker can persuade the way to aim backdoors. These malicious adapters behave perfectly slowly understand the stats data, but with able prior hammer and alignment tracking behind when processing price anti-prom and especially content keywords, standards, benchmark testing, a apply type of trade. This bring us to our core research problem. Most assistant defined frameworks such as Burger or Laura TK approach this problem from binary detection perspective. Many they forget bully the classify to model a 100% benign or 100% uh, only punished to build a compensation risk assessment framework. We integrate in the capture across four distant operation dimension of the LoRa adapter life cycle. First, we are look supply chain risks. Second, we analyze static way risks. Third, we deploy the element protein plus. And finally, I include runtime deployment risks RD, which act as a continue operation and zero tracking behind risk and anomaly frequency over extend production intersection. Let's look at how we compile this distant channel into a cycle interpretable. We model the comprehension cycle risk as quay linear comparison of the anamorphic subbricks. So the alpha the present represent the related message way assist to x dimension up to sum up to 1. In our experience, these ways are distributed as follow 0.15 for supercharge, 0.25 for static weights, 0.40 for dynamic dropping, and 0.20 for development monitoring. Thì go to one step deeper. Let us examine the sub indication that right correct correlation. On the left column, you see the matrix for the non-exception price supercharge risk should just verify gap and metadata distances. Static wave risk measures correct layer driver again DKL of the adapter player again a clear spyline distribute combined with the service anyway tracking and the column of the outer way. So what the real value of this continuous combo risk score is field direction into automatic policy in our CECD P lines, so we can actually act to risk in the real time. We split the scope into the three clear action band. First, if an adapter score below 0.4, that low risk, the system just win like X automatic exception try to production with cái standard looking before 0.4 and 0.7 that medium bricks. Here we about deployment and route the model to a security sandbox. Then we wait for extend verification and manual way review before making a decryption. And anything at 0.7 or above, that's high risk. Automatic reception, deployment clock, API token get revoked, and
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. It's gentle reminder that you have 1 minute to conclude your
yes,
presentation.
thank you. Um, um, let's break down the coverage cost, same how risk independent bricks can contribute to overrun operation, and you can see from the company data and risk way and dynamic. For example, about static and dynamic risk score zoom from the 0.0 to beginning adapter to 0.62 to background module. Um, Risk on detect performance. In this session, we analyze how chain to risk could our risk on impact to about detection of system. We step risk on as 0.5, 0.6, and 0.7 to find the optimal operant balance. Our data show the setting risk cut up 0.6 year to the most option for the month beeline at uh, at 0.6. The framework active is 18 18% to what's the price why keep the bus. Why do we so the highly accordingly we must address limitation of our framework to guide version research. First, extend adoption. Sorry. So to wrap thing up, our research offer a practical, measurable way to take area and browse security corner or LLM's supply chain instead of such a simple smart or fail. We are moving to a multi domain scope that give organization solid framework to advance and government third party development with um, confidence. That's from my side. Thank you so much for your time and assignment. I am really accept it, and I'm happy to take any question and feedback uh, you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have
Yes.
any question for from session chair? Let's move towards our next presentation. Our next presenter is Mayen Ben Koko, and the paper title is Neontal Mortality in Nigeria, a machine learning framework for risk prediction using national survey data. You may start your presentation. Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can start your presentation.
Okay. Very. Sorry, I'm just trying to get. I need to share. Yeah.
You can share your screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Your screen is visible.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mayan Bankoko. I'm from Jibowal and Co Limited, and together with my co-author Titi Emmanuel Waribo from Bielsa Medical University, Nigeria, we're here to talk about neonatal mortality in Nigeria using a machine learning framework for risk prediction using the national survey data. So for sorry,
Your screen is not
my
visible.
okay, sorry. Sorry. Go this step. Sorry, I'm trying to like go to the next page and it keeps hanging, so I don't know why it gets off.
You can try sharing your screen
Yeah,
again.
I'm trying to.
It's visible. It's visible.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Your screen is visible. You can start.
Okay, can you see my they're just acting up. Oh my god. Stop. Sorry.
What's the issue?
When I try to like go to the next page, it just disconnects the share button. Can I leave and just come back like one minute? Just
Yeah, sure.
thank you.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Are you there?
This mobile, finish Corona, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's visible. It's visible. Ma'am, your screen is visible. You can start your presentation.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So Nigeria has the second highest number of neonatal deaths in the world. The 2023-2024 National Demographic Health Survey puts the Nigerian national rate at 41 per 1,000 live births, and this has barely changed since 2018. The problem is not even evenly distributed around Nigeria, because in the northwest we have twice the rate of neonatal mortality than the southwest, and less than half of Nigerian births are attended by actual skilled workers. Nearly a third of young children also don't receive vaccines, and these are all structural failures. Without a way of identifying the highest risk births in advance, any intervention means reactive rather than preventive. The literature on machine learning for maternal and child health in sub-Saharan Africa is growing, but concentrated mostly in East Africa and also in South Asia. Models trained like in countries like Kenya and India data cannot be used in Nigeria because the health system configuration, bed spacing patterns, and the pathogen profiles are very different. Within Nigeria, existing research are already there, but this research uses only regression, and it only establishes association but does not produce a predictive score method that can be applied to a new birth. There's no published machine learning framework built for Nigeria, especially using the National Demographic Survey data. This is the gap that this research addresses. The framework we used has 4 components. We started with the data, which is from NDHS, the 2023-2024 data. That's the most recent data as at this year, and it has 42,000 households across all 6 geopolitical zones. Then we selected 9 predictor variables, each grounded in published Nigerian neonatal mortality literature. We pre-processed the data to handle class imbalance using SMOT, and then we trained and compared 5 classification algorithms. The binary outcome we are predicting is whether a baby dies within 28 days of birth, just yes or no. Then we selected 9 predictor variables. Each one had to meet 2 criteria consistently. Collected across the survey data, and we published empirical evidence linking it to neonatal mortality in Nigeria specifically. And together, they covered 4 dimensions of risk: care access before and during delivery, birth level characteristics, and maternal demographics, household, socioeconomic, and geographical context, skilled birth attendance, which is both the most actionable and, as we will see, the strongest predictor. And then geopolitical zone. The geopolitical zone captures the differences, the structural differences between regions that individual level variables alone cannot fully explain. The critical challenge in this research was the mortality data sets, because it has like a class imbalance, and the neonatal deaths are only 4 to 6% of all births. So without correction, a model can easily achieve 95% accuracy simply by predicting that every baby survives, while identifying 0 risk at risk births. That was like clinically useless. So we applied SMOT only to the training set after splitting, and then the test set was kept in its natural class distribution throughout. This means our performance matrix reflects real-world conditions, not just an artificially balanced data set. So all models used a stratified 80 training 80 20 80-20% split. That's 80% for training and 20% for the test data. Then we use the 5-fold cross validation on the training set. So rather than walking through what each algorithm does, I'll just quickly explain why we chose these 5 algorithms. In a resource-constrained health system like Nigeria's, interpretability is not really an option. So a model that performs well but cannot be explained to a community health worker in a rural area has no deployment pathway. Logistic regression gives us an epidemiological baseline with direct interpretability odds ratio, but decision tree produces the explicit if-then rules that can be understood without any statistical training. The random forest handles imbalanced tabular data, and gradient boosting handles sparse, noisy survey data well, and SVM tests whether a different structural assumption about the data produces different risk grouping. As you can see, the random forest achieves the strongest overall performance with an AUC ROC of 0.89 and an F1 score of 0.80. The gradient boosting, which is closer. So we prioritized AUC. We prioritize the AUC ROC here rather than accuracy. Because in an imbalanced mortality data set, a model that simply predicts every baby survives will achieve around 95% accuracy, which I mentioned earlier. So while identifying while AUC ROC measures the model's ability to correctly rank a randomly selected death above a randomly selected survivor, which is operationally relevant to question a risk stratification tool. So the two ensemble methods consistently outperform the simpler classifiers, which is consistent with comparable DHS-based studies in sub-Saharan Africa. So the feature importance scores from the random forest model tells us which variables contribute most to predictive accuracy. Skilled birth attendance is the single strongest predictor
Sorry to
at
interrupt.
0.
Sorry to interrupt. There is a gentle reminder that you have only left 1 minute to continue the
Okay.
presentation.
So the skilled birth attendance is the single strongest predictor at 0.18, followed by preceding birth intervals and antenatal care visits. This ranking is very consistent with existing Nigerian regression literature, but the machine learning framework adds the relative marginal contribution of each variable, which regression does not produce directly. 3 findings stand out practically. First, the skilled birth attendance is the strongest predictor. There is also the birth spacing, which is the strongest predictor. And then the antenatal class attendance. Attendance is like a genuine predictor of neonatal survival, not just a process metrics. And Nigeria is not covered, like it's well short covered from, if you compare like the WHO 8 contact standard in most zones. There were a lot of limitations for this data because one, we didn't use individual micro data, and then there was no capture of gestational age, mode of delivery, or intrapartum complications. And then the smooth samples may not really reflect the real variation. we also we for future work we plan to replicate this research on full NDHS microdata. We're just waiting for like the approval, and then we plan to incorporate sharp explainability for clinical decision support and also like community health worker deployment pathways. We also plan to add the zone specific geopolitical zone specific model recalibration. To conclude, this paper presents the first machine learning framework for neonatal mortality risk prediction built specifically for Nigeria using the NDHS data. Random forest achieves a AUC ROC of 0.89. The three strongest predictors were the skilled birth attendance, base person, and antenatal care. um, there's no need for laboratory infrastructure to use this framework or any specialist equipment. No specialist equipment is required either, and it can easily be. It's designed for like low constrained environments where a simple community health worker can deploy can use it in like highest burden zones. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Do we have any question from session chairs?
Okay, so only one question that
Yeah.
which machine learning algorithm perform best for neonatal mortality risk prediction?
Sorry, I didn't get the full question. I just got like the first part. Each algorithm.
Okay, for every algorithm, for decision tree, random forest, gradient boosting, support vector machine, neural networks.
I'm so sorry, sir, but I didn't get the full question.
Out of this algorithm, decision tree,
Yeah.
random forest, gradient boosting, support vector machine, and neural network. Out of this, which algorithm is best for neonatal mortality risk prediction?
Sorry, you said out of this algorithm, which algorithm is best?
Yeah.
The random forest for this particular research that we did, the random forest is best because it gave like the highest prediction value, the highest prediction score, which was 0.89.
Thank you so much. Nice presentation. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. As we come to the end of this technical session, I would like to sincerely thank all our authors for their excellent presentation and valuable contributions. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope today's session has been informative, engaging, and enriching for everyone. On behalf of entire team, we thank you for your continued support during the 10th edition of World S4 2026 as well as throughout the previous 9 editions of the conference. We look forward to welcoming you again to the 11th edition in 2027. All presenters will receive their digital certificates via email within 2 working days. The conference publications will be available within 7-8 months. Kindly request your cooperation with the World S4 2026 team throughout the publication process. I would also like to request our session chairs to share their remarks, valuable remarks about today's session.
Okay, so the discussions we had today have highlighted important ideas, shared new perspectives, and encouraged meaningful exchange among all the participants. So I would also like to thank the organizers, coordinators, technical team, and everyone who worked behind the scene to make the session successfully. And your efforts and supports have been truly appreciated. Thank you, Samruddhi. Thanks to
Thank you, sir. Elvin, Yugona, Enziyama, sir, in the meeting. I think sir is not present in the meeting. forward to the end of this meeting. On behalf of Team World S4 2026 Global Knowledge Resource Foundation and our partners, please accept this certificate as a token of our appreciation for your valuable support and contribution. Thank you once again for your valuable presence and participation. This concludes our session. Before we end, I kindly request everyone to switch on their cameras for a quick of our virtual conference. Wait a second. Thank you so much, everyone. You may leave the meeting.